Can you tell us your name? Did you live here? Did you die here? Do you want to take a trip? Hi, guys. Welcome back
Hello,
to
everybody.
Strange Journeys. And Tim joined us just as the intro was ending there. Tim,
All right,
what
Sam, way to go.
did I tell you, Andrea? we were talking about it before the show. I said, Tim will show up just as the intro is ending.
Before we get really going, I just want to say, who did, baby?
Uh-oh.
Who knows?
Uh-oh. All right, we'll let you get away with that one.
I was swinging swings on I was hanging swings on a swing set. So,
oh, nice. All right, like I said, we'll let you get away with that one, Darin, because my Cowboys are out. So
okay,
there you go.
Yeah.
All right, welcome to Strange Journeys, folks. I'm Tom, your ghost host, and remember, we provide these shows first and foremost for you, the watchers, for your entertainment. We are not by any means and do not claim to be scholars or experts in any of the topics we cover, especially me today. We're going to leave this expertise to Andrea and Darin because they're from Ohio. We're simply enthusiasts and storytellers who have fun with these topics while doing our best to respect individual beliefs. And please remember, we are live and nothing is rehearsed. We do have an outline, but we don't sit here and rehearse it all. Or I don't even edit it out later. What you see is what you get. The only exception is our revisited shows where we rebroadcast our previous shows. Now, next week, we've got our second part of the, oh crap, I just forgot what we did last week. Last week, our revisited show was the Stick Man. Crap, that's right. We did part 1 of the Stick Man last week. Next week, we'll be doing part 2 of the Stick Man. And y'all remember, I keep these on here because I don't want to lose them. But Tim did that Halloween show. Remember that? And on that Halloween show, was it Haunted Topeka, Tim? Was that the name of it? You can just nod.
I'm not sure if he's hearing you.
I'm over here muted. Yeah, we did the Topeka hauntings this year in Halloween 2021.
Well, they did the Stickman stories, and they came across these cool pictures. They took these. I mean, this is from the show. They got these Stickman pictures during the show, and this is the one that just blows my mind.
Right. While we were filming, and of course, we didn't see them until afterwards, but these were really cool pictures.
Right.
So.
That last one just, I mean, that just boggles my mind. It was amazing. But before we get into the show, this is a special anniversary, I guess you could say. On January 31st, I've got it wrong in my notes, but on January 31st, 2015, Strange Journeys held its inaugural tour in downtown Mobile, Alabama. If I remember, we had about 25 folks on that tour. So we've been doing Strange Journeys for about 7 years now, as a whole. You know, we did the tours for about 4.5 years, and we decided to change gears. And then on May 16th of 2020, we had our very first live stream podcast. Do y'all remember that?
Okay, yeah. Amazing. Well, that's great.
Yeah, so just a moment. I want to reflect back for a minute. Andrea, Tim, Darin, if you've caught some of the past episodes, that's cool. But what are some of the favorite topics that we've covered on this show? Tim, are you still muted?
I'm not hearing half of what's being said for some reason.
Oh,
It's
I'm
cutting out
sorry.
on me.
Well, since we started the show,
that's all right.
what's some of your favorite topics that we've covered?
I love doing the Stickman. I enjoyed doing the recover of it when after we had the pictures that were taken for the Halloween show. Bigfoot, you and I sitting there together watching that video over and over and over again, going back and analyzing that. And who can forget Puckwudgies beginning all the way back with the
the Bridgewater
Triangle. What's that been? Almost a year ago now.
That's right. So and that led us to our show 2 weeks ago on What the Puck.
Cannot believe I wasn't
Right.
there for that.
And Andrea missed out. Andrea, what's some of your favorite topics that we've covered?
I had a blast talking about the Lizzie Borden house. I had so much fun going over that. That was a lot of fun. I would love to maybe go back to that. That was really cool. And then I loved the Puckwudgies, Bridgewater. So those two were my favorite. And I thought the mysterious phone calls.
Oh, the Phantom phone calls.
Phone calls. I thought that was pretty fun, because everybody actually ended up with a story about that,
Yeah.
So that's cool.
Well, Greg, our friend from Cleveland, who actually picked this show. Let me say that. We're doing our Strange States, Ohio show today, and I gave him the choice, and he picked this show. So we're doing this at Greg's suggestion. But also, if you're watching and you have a favorite topic that we covered, let us know. Greg said the black-eyed children.
That was a good one.
That was a creepy show. And who remembers how I ended the show? Boy, that hurts. With the song I wrote about black-eyed children.
Oh, yeah.
I've got to unmute myself because I was about to yell that, and I'm going, wait, I'm still muted because I'm over here sharing this broadcast to every place I can at the moment. So
thank you. Yeah, I wrote the song Black-Eyed Children, and Greg paid me the compliment of saying that he added it to his YouTube song list. So that made me feel good.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
So, yeah, but it is on my personal YouTube channel, but it's also, I think I added it to Patreon. But anyway, that was a creepy show. We had some creepy stories on there. And
Well,
Greg,
after this, I'm going to go check it out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I want to hear that song.
All right. Well, everything's on the YouTube channel. Speaking of YouTube, where did here we go.
Click that thumbs up and subscribe to the channel.
Yeah, what he said. That's my Lynn and I's grandson. He'll be over here after the show's over to spend the night with us. But I think I've told you all this before, but I was doing something for the show, working on something. I was just watching YouTube videos, and he just piped up with that. Click that thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. I was like, okay, I got to get this on video. So I've been using him as a shield to promote the show ever since on YouTube. And I've just remembered to like, subscribe, all that good stuff for YouTube. We certainly appreciate it. We're at like 47 subscribers, which I know that doesn't sound like a lot in the whole scheme of things compared to other YouTubers, but we're getting there. Oh, we've got 2 more comments. Oh, that was Tim stayed on top of the comments for me again.
How long we've been doing this.
Yeah, I know I could pay somebody and they would up our subscription rates, but I want this to be organic. It just grows because it grows. I don't want to force anything. Yeah, I want it to. I would love to have several thousand subscribers and thousands of views on our videos, but it'll get there as long as we keep doing this. So anyway, speaking of, we are wanting to continue to do this, and we do need your help. Yep. Every little bit helps, and we appreciate it if you can do that. There are some exclusive videos there on our Patreon page that you can't see on YouTube or Facebook. They're just not there. Sightings videos that we did last year, all of those are on our Patreon page. So if you're a Patreon supporter, a patron as they call them, then you can have access to all those. And Elizabeth, Beth, and I have been talking about some special videos to put on there for a while now. We just haven't gotten it done yet. So there'll be hopefully some new stuff. Before we get into the show, Andrea shared this with the ETs just a little while ago. Check this out. Was that it?
Andrea, that's awesome.
That's my hickory stick. That's my one of my praying mantises that I have. So that's
See, what that reminds me of is way back, what show was it, where on the sightings video we had the little yellow dragon swimming through the water, and Andrea wanted to go find that.
And my next question was, I shared a link with her about puck wedgies. Did you go on and get a puck wedgie for yourself yet?
Yeah, I got a praying mantis.
Well, I guess that could be called a puck wedgie. Oh, wow. But yeah, Andrea is known for, I think John is trying to rein her in because she would bring home any little strange animal that she finds or insect. So
I have a jumping spider endophilia. So yeah.
My question is, how do you not lose them?
They're little critter keepers. They're in their own little special box, and they have their own setup according to their demographic, like where they're from around the world. So some have high humidity, and then hickory stick, she's from Africa, so she only gets watered once a week and fed once a week because it's dry and arid there.
Wow,
So,
I didn't know that about you.
You learn something new.
Learn something new all the time.
There you go. Why do you
children as an excuse? I'm broadening their interests. They can learn about the world and all the things that are in it. So
you go. Well, Darin, as we were talking before, that's why she's involved with these strange journeys. Because she has some definite strangeness. if you want to call it. Yeah, very unique. All right. Well, we're going to get on into the show today.
All is strange and vague.
Are we dead?
Or is this Ohio?
I love that little Animaniacs clip. All is strange and vague. Are we dead or are we in Ohio? The term high strangeness was introduced to our English lexicon in the 70s by famed UFO hunter or debunker, however you want to see him, J. Allen Hynek. The term has come to mean a quality of being peculiar, bizarre, and utterly absurd. I've noticed that the phrase has been used of late by Linda Moulton Howe, who has investigated many different events that could be defined as peculiar, bizarre, and utterly absurd. Now, it's been suggested for some time that we do a show on all the high strangeness that abounds in the state of Ohio. We took that suggestion to the next level, and we're beginning a series of what we call strange states, and decided to begin, like I said earlier, we were planning on doing it, but we also had some other ideas, and we put it out to our friend Greg that's watching in Cleveland and asked him choose between these two, and he chose Ohio. So we're starting our Strange States series, strange journeys into these different states. But what we're going to do in this series is focus on the different states primarily represented at first by each of our ETs. Andrea's in Ohio, Tim's in Kansas, Dagny's in Florida, but she's from Illinois, so we'll probably do Illinois. Beth is in Mississippi. Paul, I'm getting used to his Facebook name now. Tommy is in Tennessee. We're in Alabama with Donnie. So we're going to focus on these different states at different times throughout this year. We're not going to do one right after the other, because we'll have another show topic for the next show. But today we're going to focus on the high strangeness found in the great state of Ohio, and we're going to rely on E.T. Andrea, her personal experiences, and Darin, his personal experience. And we've got a couple of video clips where I interviewed Al Luna of PSEI earlier today, and he shared a couple of stories. So we got that coming up. Since they're all from Ohio, they've got some unique perspectives. But today, there's no way we can cover all of Ohio. We lost Tim for a second. He'll be back. But I wanted to start. What we're going to focus on today is cryptids. There's a couple of unique cryptids I put in our outline. I think, Andrew, you may have a couple more. Darin, if you think of some, just chime in.
Okay.
But I want to talk about some cryptids in Ohio, some hauntings, and some general high strangeness. Let's see what's going on here. Okay. Tim is going to reset his internet and be right back. But I wanted to start with some fun things. First of all, I found this. I used to do these on my tours. Some strange laws that are still on the books to this day. Ohio has some weird ones, folks. But of course, we wouldn't expect any less from Ohio. But listen to some of these. Women are prohibited, Andrea, pay attention, from wearing patent leather shoes in public. I'm sorry. Do you have any patent leather shoes?
Yes.
All right. Well, you can only wear them at home. All right. Here, pay attention. It is illegal to fish for whales on Sundays. So, any of you whale
Doesn't
fishers?
make sense.
Oh, there goes my plans for tomorrow.
There you go. And along that lines, it's illegal to get a fish drunk. So,
but you can't. It's legal to get your whale drunk so long as it's not on a Sunday.
Exactly. The Ohio Driver's Education Manual states that you must honk the horn whenever you pass another car. All right.
Really?
Yeah, well, hey, you got to obey the law. It is illegal. Here's another one for you, Andrea. It is illegal for more than 5 women to live in a house.
I can understand that one.
I was actually going to refrain from comment.
I wonder if that's like was brought on because of, I don't know, like something like a brothel or something like that, like when they were trying to illegalize prostitution.
Probably.
And things like that. And
Probably so.
I know Dayton, they didn't get rid of that until like 1914, like legalized prostitution. So
Yeah.
makes you wonder.
Okay. I think, yeah, Tim is back.
There he is.
Okay, Tim, you missed it. But in Ohio, it's illegal for 5 women to live in a house together. Just so you know.
I couldn't tell you why. I can see how bad that could go for different reasons. But I couldn't tell you the real reason.
It's illegal to post signs at swimming pools in Akron. So what's going on in Akron? And in Akron, also in Akron, you can't post signs at swimming pools, but you cannot display colored chickens for sale.
Okay.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's all we got to say.
So we're talking probably what, golden and silver lace wine dots. Well, that eliminates just about everything. So you've only got the black and white ones.
Right. But those are colors. Those are colors. I don't know.
That's true.
It is illegal to walk a cow down Lake Road in Bay Village. So you cannot be walking your cow on Lake Road.
Background for that one.
I actually know a person who ran into a cow. She drove her car right into a cow.
Was it on Lake Road?
That I'm not sure about. But maybe think of that, yeah.
That's probably.
Was the cow okay? I mean, was she okay? But was the cow
yeah, she's okay. I think the cow was okay too.
Your first thought was for the cow. Okay. All right.
Here's how horrible that sounded when it came out. I was like, wait.
All right, Darin, here's one to remember. The installation and usage of slot machines.
The neighbor here in Kansas that hit one a few months ago said that he hit it. The cow got up and walked away. Didn't do any damage to the cow, just totaled the car.
Oh, Lord.
I'm sure. Here's one for you, Darin. The installation and usage of slot machines in outhouses is prohibited if you're in Bexley, wherever that is.
I don't even know what Bexley is. Darin,
oh, that's funny. I never thought that, that should be something you'd be doing in an outhouse.
Well, they probably were doing it in Bexley for a while until the authorities got involved.
Hiding their gambling addiction in the outhouse.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, here's the last one, and this one's for Andrea. If you lose your pet tiger, you must notify the authorities within 1 hour.
Notice there's no laws about losing your pet puckwudgie, though.
No. All right, Tim, I'm going to ask for your help on this next section. We're just doing some fun things before we get into the weird stuff. I got a bunch of pictures on here for these if you can find them. Some weird roadside attractions. I know Andrea's got a bunch of these. The world's largest rocking chair is in Austinburg. Along State Route 45 outside of Country Cousins, a log furniture company in Austinburg, you'll find the world's largest rocking chair. While it's unknown who built the chair, the big seat has been sitting in Austinburg since the 60s. Do you know what that reminds me of? That reminds me of an old Lily Tomlin sketch where she was sitting in the big rocking chair. Does anybody remember that?
I'm laughing. I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Uh-oh, Darin, you're not as old as me. Now, come on.
Didn't she turn that into like a children's show on PBS at some point too? Because I seem to remember her sitting in that rocking chair for years.
Right, but I think it was part of Electric Company.
That could be, yeah.
Yeah,
all right.
Sounds right.
Yeah. Cornhenge in Dublin. Ohio has its own version of Stonehenge, thanks to Dublin's Field of Corn, also known as the Cornhenge. But we highly doubt that foreigners would speculate that it's used as a calendar there. And Andrea has visited this. Did you find her pictures? It should be all in a row there.
Darin, have you been to Cornhenge?
No, actually, this is the first I've heard about it. And I've been to Dublin plenty of times.
only if you're there for something else, stop. But don't make a special trip, because when we got there, we were literally like, that's it.
That's it.
It's a lot smaller. The corn is a lot smaller than what you expected. I mean, the kids were like, yay, we're going to Cornhenge. And then we got there and they were like, why did we go to Cornhenge? But it wasn't, now we can say we've been to Cornhenge. So definitely have like going on, or actually let that be your side thing. But it was really neat.
Well,
it's dedicated to the farmland that was
right.
It's an homage. It's all like buildings and industries and stuff like that now, business buildings.
Well, you reminded me of when I visited Taj Mahal in southern India. It was like, that's it. I mean, if you've seen a picture, you've seen the Taj Mahal. There's nothing inside, literally. You walk into an empty room with two big stone monoliths, which is where, and they told us that this is just a replica of the actual tombs. And it was just big white blocks.
Wow.
Then you go down some stairs into another blank room. There's nothing on the walls. And there's another two big giant stones there. And they say this is the actual tombs of the Raj and his wife. And that's it. There's nothing to see. So
amazing.
So I guess if we've seen pictures of Cornhenge, we've seen Cornhenge. But I would still love to go.
I'd much rather go to Taj Mahal. Just saying. I would much rather have your story, Tom, than my story.
Well, I mean, it was beautiful. I don't want to take anything away from that, but anyway, we'll go on. The Taj Mahal was the Taj Mahal. It was awesome. It was beautiful, but that's it. What you see in the picture, it's awesome to see it in person too. So that was wild. Along the lines of Cornhenge, there's Vasehenge. What was once the pottery capital of the United States is now home to yet another homage to Stonehenge. This collaborative effort of local artists can be found at the foot of the Y Bridge, which I should have gotten some pictures of Y Bridge. That thing is unique. That's pretty weird in itself. Have y'all ever driven on the Y Bridge?
No.
Where is the Y Bridge?
Zanesville.
Okay.
If you know where Zanesville is.
I
I saw pictures of it, and it's actually a bridge that it's like it splits in the middle. And they've got I think there's a light there and in the middle of the bridge, and you can go left or right, and it's shaped like a Y. Okay. The ghost town in Findlay, created by the Galitza family, this unique roadside attraction in Findlay features a replica of an 1880s era ghost town that was first opened to the public in the 1950s. Today, the ghost town has been restored after a period of abandonment and even features arts and crafts vendors and antique and flea market vendors on select dates. Now, that would be fun. That would be a cool place to visit.
On a bucket list for John and I to go there.
There you go. And now the last strange attraction before we get into the weird, strange stuff. The Wall of Gum in Greenville.
Have you been there, Darin?
What was that?
Have you been there?
Have you been there?
The Wall of Gum? No.
It's at the Made Right sandwich shop. It's like the drive-in in Greenville.
Wow.
It's loose meat sandwiches, so and that's like literally all they have. That's it. Like fries and loose meat sandwiches and the topping of your choice, and that's it. But it's like a fashion 1950s, 60s diner on the inside. Very small. Don't blink or you'll miss it.
Wow.
But that's the big thing is their gum wall. But I think Greenville's cool because that's also where Annie Oakley lived.
Well, when do you think that started? Because I used to deliver Mike Sells potato chips there in Greenville in the early 1990s. And I feel like I delivered to the Made Right, and I don't remember this.
Huh.
It probably started from a gross 90s kids, like in the late 90s.
The grunge kids.
Grunge kids.
Well, I tell you, as enticing as an old diner sounds to me, one that is covered in discarded chewed gum does not appeal to me.
We're going to go a step further with that, Tom. I have been to this one. This is kind of a neat place to go.
Okay.
But I have a cousin that lives there in the area that 2 days ago has got a video that he shows of his son pulling gum off that wall to chew it.
Oh, God.
So I'm like, and I'm thinking, instead of stopping your son, let's videotape it instead.
Oh, yeah. Oh, God. Okay. We'll go on from that one.
I do have one off the show notes real quick.
Yeah.
That Ohio has, and that is the Kewpie restaurant. It's the diner, Kewpie Diner, the Kewpie doll.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's in Lima, Ohio. It was like a big deal, and I think there's only 4 left, and they're all in Ohio. The big main one is in Lima. It's on my bucket list to go. But was it Dave from Wendy's? He said he got his recipe and his sandwich idea from the Kewpie restaurant. So I want to go and see if it's like Wendy's.
I saw that in a list, but I didn't dig down on it. I just was trying to pick out a few things. But yeah, I think we can leave the gum wall there. I just
we didn't touch it. We just went inside.
Yeah. I would have a hard time eating in the Made Right Diner, thinking of just on the outside of the wall is all these thousands and thousands of pieces of chewed, discarded gum. I don't. I mean, I can do okay. I don't have that light of a stomach, but just the thought of eating there, it just.
It might be an Ohio thing, because I was thinking, we have a haunted house that's a steamship. It's called the USS Nightmare, and it's on the Ohio River. And when you're standing in line for that, there's a wall down there that everybody has stuck their gum on.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So maybe it's an Ohio thing to be destructive with your gum.
I've seen the bridges where they put the padlocks on. Is it something like that, you guess? I don't know. I don't know why you'd be leaving a piece of gum in memory of somebody, though.
This is a gross thing.
All right, well, let's get on to some cryptids. One of the first I came across that I just gravitated to, I thought this was so cool, was the Loveland Frogman, also known as the Loveland Lizard, or just the Loveland Frog. It's a legendary humanoid frog described as standing roughly 4 feet tall, allegedly spotted in Loveland, Ohio. In 1972, the legend gained renewed attention when a Loveland police officer, A Loveland police officer reported to a colleague that he had seen an animal consistent with descriptions of the frogman. After a purported sighting in 2016, the second officer called a news station to report that he had shot and killed the same creature some weeks after the 1972 incident and had identified it as a large iguana that was missing its tail. University of Cincinnati folklore professor and Edgar Slotkin compared the Loveland frog to Paul Bunyan, saying that stories about it have been passed down for several decades and that sighting reports seem to come in predictable cycles. In May 2014, the Loveland Frog legend was made into a musical titled Hot Diggity Dog, It's the Loveland Frog.
I know a little bit about this. I've heard a little bit about this, and it's I've heard that they hang around this bridge that goes over the Little Miami River. And gosh, what is the name of the bridge? Like Branch Hill, I think, something like that. Andrea or anybody have ever heard of that?
I think you're close enough. I'd say that's it. So it sounds like to me, that's what I remember.
Yeah.
So.
Wow.
It's in a particular area, and I have read sightings of it as recent as 2018. People say they still see it. So it kind of makes me wonder, could it be a cryptid? Could it be, it could be, we do have giant snapping turtles and a few other things, but nothing that would walk on its hind legs out of the water, and out of, onto the ground.
Andrea, last time we met, we were talking about some things, cryptids around the Little Miami River in our meetings, but I've lost it. What was the name of that we were talking about?
It's the Crosswick Monster.
The Crosswick Monster. That's right.
Crosswick Monster, which is local to here. It's more close to we're closer to Darin and I, and that was in 1873, I think, and it was two young boys, Joe and Ed Lynch, and they were attacked by this 14-foot monster that it grabbed Ed Lynch, and because Joe started screaming, the older brother, some other men came and startled it, and it let go of the young boy, and it ran off and hid in a sycamore tree. And when people think, oh, sycamore tree, our sycamore trees were actually kind of a problem for pioneers when they came to Ohio. Those things get to 20 to 30 feet in width.
Wow.
And, yeah, they were huge. And so we don't really see them anymore because they're all gone. They've been cleared out, sadly. But it went and hid in there, and a search party of 60 men that evening went and looked for this monster. They found it, spooked it out of the sycamore, and chased it into a rock quarry. And when they saw the monster come out of the sycamore tree, half of them said, "We're done with this." It terrified them. They left. The other half chased it, and it disappeared in the rock quarry, and they never saw or heard from it again. What I find so fascinating is they saw footprints of this monster weeks to months prior to its initial attack on these two young boys. And they were just like, yeah, there's something in that river. Don't go over into that little creek. Don't go over there. And that was it. They didn't really bat an eye at that. And I think that's really interesting that they weren't more concerned that that was something around there. But we're not far from what's called the Black Swamps. And when that happened, the Black Swamps up in Toledo were just finally drained. And the Native Americans that were up there and a lot of the original settlers up there talked about a horned lizard that lived in those Black Swamps. And people would go in there and never come out. It was hard to get your oxen to even want to go in there, or your horses. They would kind of
shy away
there. And so it kind of makes me wonder also, if you look at our serpent mound, it looks a lot like how this creature was described. And if you look at a lot of our Native American or now I can't think of what they're called, like statues and models and things like that they made, there are some that actually look like this monster. And a lot of our people are like, oh no, those are like the water cougar. And no, water panther.
So
that's not what that is.
This Crosswick monster, is it more described like the frogman or more like a Bigfoot type?
It is actually more described. I would say it's more dinosaur looking. It was
like a Nessie.
16 feet in length. It had horns. It was black and white striped with yellow polka dots. It had a red mouth with a black tongue, and had small front legs and longer back legs, about 4 feet in length. Wow. And hands the size of a large plate, they said. So,
well, that's pretty detailed.
Yes, it's very detailed. And I spoke to a historian in Waynesville. Crosswick is literally like 2 streets next. Like, that's it. That's all Crosswick is, next to Waynesville. And he has written accounts from some of the granddaughters whose dads or grandfathers, actually hunted this creature, and their stories passed on. And I have copies of all of that. It's very fascinating. I really think there was something there. I definitely think a lot of eyewitnesses. There was a monster in Crosswick. There definitely was something there.
Wow.
I could go on about this one. I could really geek out over this monster.
Okay. Well, we'll go on to the grass man then.
Sorry.
All right. Fox 19 had a story. Fox 19 News. I'm sure y'all know who that is. 2 men took a drone out to Salt Fork State Park. I've got a video of it. And while and I took their 10 or 12 minute video, and I just cut out a couple of clips. Where did I put that? Yeah. Salt Fork. This is what they saw. Look at it. It's not a person. Look at the hair. You can see all the hair. You'd be stupid to walk out here in a suit. Get shot. He's right behind that tree. The big one. Look. And his hair's gray and black. Is that gray? Is that snow? That's not snow. It's gray. Or brown and gray. Can't tell. Pretty wild. Now, I'm going to tell you straight up, my concern is that this may be fake. And the only reason I say that is because he's trying to make it clear, oh, somebody'd be stupid to be out here in the woods in a suit.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you're catching this, by chance, you're not going to be concerned about that. You're going to be freaking out. Of course, I may be reading too much into that. Still, it was a cool video.
I have. I mean, I don't want to. What?
Go on, Andrea.
I don't want to say that what he caught, that it's fake. I mean, this made national news. These guys have their whole YouTube channel, and they're really big into this. So I really don't want to be like, it's fake. It's hard because looking at how their Bigfoot walks, it looks so more human and just kind of like a guy in a suit walking compared to anything that's been found before. But maybe everything that's been found before is fake and this isn't. So it's hard to tell. I think it's amazing they got so close. I think it's especially seeing that these things usually tend to throw sticks and rocks at people when they get close. They don't want to be seen.
That's what came. Yeah, I agree with you. How they got so close, and I would think that they would hear what they were even whispering, because they were that close.
Exactly.
I just didn't think it would. Yeah.
I do have concerns about the video. And Tim, what were you going to say?
That's what I was going to say. Compared to everything else we've watched and studied with these things, including the Provo Canyon in Utah,
right?
The movement is completely wrong. And I'm going, well, which one is right?
Yeah, I know.
I don't want to say it. I mean, we all have our own experiences with different things. So, I don't want to say, oh, no, that's 100% fake. But I just.
Right.
Yeah, we'll leave it that we have some concerns with the video.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right.
National news, and we have a Bigfoot triangle up north.
Yes.
So, where we just got done with our Grassman convention, I think a couple of weeks ago, Ohio has a Grassman convention where they have this every year, where all these experts come and share their wealth of information on Grassman. So,
well, like I said, there's no way we can cover in 1 hour or so show, however long we do this today, everything in Ohio. We could do one show on nothing but Grassman sightings. I mean, there's just so much out there. So we're going to go on to hauntings now. Now, the first one I wanted to bring up that I just put chills on me was the Bloody Bridge, actually, because of the name of it. We should have found this one for our Bridges of Sorrows show. This one was creepy. I've got a picture of it here somewhere. Do you see that, Tim? But just outside of Spencerville on Route 66 lies a bridge that crosses the Miami Erie Canal. Is this in some of the area we're talking about, Darin?
It sounds like it would be more up north, don't you think, Andrea?
Yes.
Well, I guess it's an Erie Canal. According to legend, it was the site of a grisly murder in 1854. They erected a plaque in 1977. Now, I'm just reading from the plaque, and some of the grammar I think is a little off. But anyway, during the canal years of the 1850s, a rivalry grew between Bill Jones and Jack Billings for the love of Minnie Warren. There became hatred by Bill because Minnie chose Jack. On a fall night in 1852, returning from a party, Minnie and Jack were surprised on the bridge by Bill, armed with an axe. With one swing, Bill severed Jack's head. Seeing this, Minnie screamed and fell into a watery grave. Bill disappeared, and when a skeleton was found years later at a nearby well, people asked, was it suicide or justice? Almost immediately after the murder, whispers of ghostly images seen on and around the bridge began to surface. One legend tells of a headless man who can sometimes be seen on the bridge at night. Another says that sometimes when you look off the bridge into the dark water, you can see Minnie Warren's face looking back. People began referring to the bridge as Bloody Bridge. When the original was replaced, people for miles around took pieces of it as souvenirs. A tribute to the strength of this story, the new bridge still carries the name Bloody Bridge. That's from the Ghost of Ohio website. Now, Andrea, you had some stories about the Haunted Air Force Museum.
I don't really have a lot of stories. I do know that I couldn't find any pictures to share, and I am so bummed by that, where I have caught some interesting shadows in a few of the airplanes that are there. Oh, we lost him.
Yeah.
I know that the Air Force Museum made it on, I think it was TAPS. Darren, was it TAPS that it was on?
Yeah, Ghost Hunters TAPS. Yeah.
Okay.
Ghost Hunters. And they had a lot of evidence on there. I've definitely, so one of the things, like when I'm around anything that would be considered like a haunting or whatever, sometimes I'll get like a headache from it. And there are a couple airplanes, especially like in the Vietnam area, like those airplanes, that my head just kills me. And Sammy, I thought it was pretty interesting. My youngest one, when he was 3, over in the World War II section of the airplanes, they had some big band music playing, some Glenn Miller, and it was on the record player. And Sam just seemed to already know where all of his favorite airplanes were in that section.
Oh, wow.
And that music was playing, and I said, "Oh, I love Glenn Miller. Do you like this song?" And Sammy goes, "No, I don't." And I said, "Why?" And he goes, "It makes me sad." And I said, "Well, why does it make you sad?" And he goes, "It reminds me of my friends." And I thought that was pretty interesting. And I was like, "Really, your friends? Because you're 3, 4 years old. You don't have a lot of friends, you know."
Yeah,
Like, what friends are those reminding you of? But little kids that kind of passed. Like as we visited, as he got older, there wasn't really any
But
stories.
his brother didn't have those kind of feelings?
None at all. Just Sam.
What you reminded me of was our Here We Go Again show, where we talked about reincarnation. And I'm not saying that Sammy is reincarnated. One of the questions I had was, are we calling it reincarnation when somebody's just connecting with the past? And he may have just been connecting with a spirit that was there and speaking in the first person.
I kind of think that that's probably what happened to him, because he already seemed to be a little sensitive to other things that were going on around him when he was growing up. So it kind of just makes me wonder if he just kind of caught something, and was just kind of telling me his emotions that he was feeling from something else.
Yeah, not really negative, but just picked up on what was there and kind of channeled it in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. Darin, get ready for if you got some haunted stories. And Andrew, when we come back, I want to talk about the Moonville Tunnel, but I want to go into my first video clip with Al Luna. I recorded a short interview with him. It actually ended up being like 12 minutes, but I cut it in half, so we do 2 parts. But I want to play this first part now, where Al tells about, he shared some stories with me. Y'all may have to mute your mics. I don't know. Hello again. This is Tom with Strange Journeys, and we're doing a little recording session here with Mr. Al Luna. Hey, I got my perspective right this time. I'm usually doing something else, but Al's not able to be on our live show, so we're doing a little short vignette. He's going to tell us some stories, but real quick, I want Al, if you would just introduce yourself to the folks again.
All right. I'm Al Luna, the founder of the PSEI team in the Toledo, Ohio area. PSEI, Paranormal Spirit Encounter Investigations, is the long version. We prefer to shorten it to PSEI.
Right.
We're actually changing our format. We're going PSEI East, because myself and my wife are moving out to the San Diego area. And if I start up the small team out there, then I'll have a PSEI West.
There you go.
So we're gonna try to cover as much of the country as we can. So.
Excellent. Well, those of you that are watching know that we've had Al on before talking about some haunting situations in Ohio. And today's show is our first in a series, but I'll be explaining that on the actual show. But we're talking about strange states, Ohio. So Al has been investigating there. How long have you been doing this there in Ohio, in Toledo?
I've been investigating for over 11 years.
Excellent.
And I've had my team for over 8 years.
Well, like I said, the theme of the show today is Ohio and the strangeness that goes on there. And I wanted to get Al on here, but he's got an investigation coming up that he'll be leaving for during the time of the show. So we wanted to get on here and get a couple of his stories. So what's one story that stands out in all the years you've been investigating there? I want a couple of stories, but let's start with what stands out to you.
Well, you know, one of the fun things for me is I've been down to the Mansfield Reformatory 4 times.
Wow.
Actually, this coming April will be my 5th time. And we go ahead and we reserve the whole reformatory, and I take 29 people with me.
Wow.
And we get the whole place to ourselves. So it's over 880,000 square feet.
Ooh, yeah.
Counting both wings of the cell blocks and everything. Well, just last year, we had a great time, you know, and I took a small group of people down into the big lockup area, you know, your solitary confinement.
Right.
And I jumped into a cell block and didn't even realize that the others ended up afraid and they left.
Oh, no.
And the girl that was recording for me left with them. And I wish she had stayed there because I had my SB7 ghost box with me.
Right.
So I'm using that to try to get communication. I've got a couple devices with me. And I was in there for a good 10, 12 minutes, just asking all kinds of questions, getting little blips on my equipment here and there, but I wasn't getting any words.
Right.
So I started to get a little frustrated. And I said, look, guys, you know, just give me your name. Give me something that tells me you're here with me. And all of a sudden, through the ghost box, you hear, ain't gonna happen. And I said, well, thank you. I don't know your name, but you spoke direct to me, and that's impossible to do with the radio station. You can't get that many words out.
Right.
So I appreciated it. I grabbed my equipment and I walked out. So
holy cow. So somebody there was just getting frustrated with you. Like, no, we're getting stubborn. Like, no, we ain't gonna do this. Forget it.
Yeah, you're not gonna get my name. It ain't gonna happen.
But at least they let you know that.
Yes.
You know, that makes me think of something that I've thought about before. You know, I'll say we go visit a friend and if they're not in the mood to talk, if they're a real friend, they'll say, look, I'm just, it ain't happening tonight. Go ahead and leave, you know? And we do that out of respect. And we don't think about that these spirits may do the same thing.
Right.
You know, it's like, no, I'm not up to it tonight.
Hello.
You're muted.
Yeah, there we go.
There we
Yeah.
go.
Ain't gonna happen.
Love that.
That was so cool. He's got a couple of more quick stories, but we'll share that in a minute. Darin, you know, has been on this show before, guys, and we've asked him back because he's in Ohio, and we figured he may have some haunted stories, which we know he does because he shared them with us before. So, what's on your mind stands out to you as a haunted Ohio story, Darin?
You know, one thing that comes to mind, and it's really close to me, is there's a facility where folks with developmental disabilities live, and it's built on top of an Indian mound.
Wow.
And I used to be employed there, and I supervised, there was 3 living units, and I supervised these living units on third shift. Strange things were always happening. In these facilities, it might sound like somebody's slamming down the toilet seats, and you go in and check it out, and there's nobody there. And I actually, you know, experienced that. I walked out of the restroom, and as I'm walking away from the restroom, the toilet seats are slamming again. Like somebody's getting out paper towels. It sounded like all the cabinets in the kitchens, you know, just would fall to the ground and everything shattered, and all the staff would go running and everything is just in place. But one of the most interesting stories happened during the day when I wasn't there. Some staff in one of the living units said a Native American came in, you know, maybe in their 20s, dressed in jeans, you know, just like a Native American kind of shirt and everything, and was just talking to the staff and says, you know, I really like what you're doing here. So, and then left. And as they, and one of the staff went to run out for this person just about like 10 seconds later to catch up with this person, and just completely gone. And couldn't have gotten away that quick.
Wow.
Interesting stories. And I was actually, one night I went into this one resident's room, and of course her light was off, but outside her room in a common area, the light was on. So you could still see in the room a little bit. And so I just wanted to make sure this resident was okay. And starting from the back of the room, coming, you know, towards me, it just got completely black. And the blackness just kept pushing me right out of the room until I was back into that common area again, you know, where the light was on.
Wow.
A bunch of strange things like that. And it's built on top of the Indian mound.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those Indian mounds, I mean, they need more investigation. I mean, I do want to talk about the Serpent Mound here in a little bit, but you know, a lot of times we fall into the habit of, for lack of a better word, blaming the Indians for a lot of the paranormal activity that goes on around us, and it's not always the case. But there's something about these mounds, and that you never know. I mean, there's something going on with these mounds. There's an eeriness. Andrea has visited a place in Ohio called what is it? Moonville Tunnel.
Moonville Tunnel, yeah.
That was a bucket list.
Tell us about the Moonville Tunnel.
There's really not a lot left to tell. It's a tunnel. So it was a oh my goodness. Now, I hope I have it right. Moonville Tunnel was a stretch of railway that went from A to B, basically, and it went into Moonville. It was a coal mining town, and eventually it just kind of went under and stopped producing. The town was torn down. The bridge was torn down, and all that is left is this really cool tunnel. And that's supposed to be haunted. And supposedly, if you stand on one side of the tunnel and you look down towards the far end, you can see a figure walk back and forth. And there's different stories on who this figure might actually be. There's really no record of anybody actually dying on that stretch of railway. Some people tried to walk the trestles from, that go over the river further on down, and there's been 3 deaths from that one. The latest one was in 1920. A young girl tried to walk across the trestle and she fell into the river and died. And so who it might be, I don't know. When we were there, it definitely had an eerie vibe to it. Unfortunately, it was really crowded. There were a lot of people that wanted to see the Moonville tunnel the day that we went, and so we couldn't get any real alone time in the tunnel. I think one of the other cool things about that tunnel is they say if you investigate at night, and we had curfew time because of young kids, but if you're there at night and you're investigating, something will throw stones at you from the top of the tunnel, and people have, really been pelted by these stones. I don't know if it's a ghost. That is prime Grassman location.
Oh, okay.
And we walked that trail that the tracks used to be on all the way down to the river, and it was just John and I and the dogs. Everybody just kind of stayed in the tunnel. We just kept on going, and it's eerie. I really did not like it, and I love being outside. I love hiking. I've hiked all through the Gatlinburg Smoky Mountains, all throughout Ohio and Kentucky. I did not like this stretch. It gave the jeebies. I felt like we were being watched. I didn't like it.
Something I thought about from our What the Puck show was it's amazing your dogs didn't lead you to a puckwudgie.
I know. They just don't know me.
I mean, we had several stories in the What the Puck show where dogs led them to puckwudgie and then had to run away. So
no, not my dogs. They chased butterflies. There was a lot of butterflies that they led us to. I had never seen so many. They were yellow swallowtails, and they were all along the river. And I mean, there had to have been 30 or 40 of them just flying all around. It was very beautiful. And that was about the only serene part of that walk. It was very disturbing. I did not care for it. I was ready to get back into the car. And we hiked all throughout everywhere else. There's a cemetery that's up a hill a little further on down, and it's a Moonville cemetery. And we hiked up to that cemetery, and it didn't bother me at all. But I really felt like on that stretch there that we were watched.
Wild. That's cool. I mean, that looks like one of the places I'd like to visit. So, as a matter of fact, all these do. I'm going to have to make a trip to Ohio and see some of these strange places. All right. I want to get to the next video with Al before we close out the show. We're already over an hour. And Darin, I want some more stories. And then after the video, I want some more stories from Darin, and then Andrea will close out with the Serpent Mound. But let's hear a little bit more from Al real quick. Let's go all the way back. What was the paranormal experience that got you into ghost hunting there in Ohio?
Probably the experience that triggered my desire, and it was a long time before I ever started. I was working with a friend of mine for a gentleman, and the oldest building in Maumee, Ohio, had been a restaurant for a long time. The upper floors had caught on fire, and eventually the restaurant ended up closing. So when this gentleman that I knew bought the building, he needed to get it gutted. He needed to repair the upstairs. He needed to change the scenery downstairs. So my friend and I, when we were laid off from a job, we went in, and for 3 months, we just gutted this place.
Wow. Yeah.
So while I was upstairs on the second floor and my buddy was working behind me, I start telling him this story about something. And after a little while, I'm working, I'm ripping the walls out, going crazy. And all of a sudden, I hear this whisper in my ear. And I thought, wow, that sounds like a female. And I turn and I said his name. I said, what the hell are you doing? And as I turned, he's out the window throwing stuff in the dumpster.
Oh my.
And I mean, I had gotten cold chills across my neck, down my
Wow.
the whisper and everything. And that really triggered me right there. This was back in like 81, 82.
All right.
And the funny thing was, while we were working in that building multiple times, you know, I would take all of our equipment and I'd put it in a corner and then I'd put a sheet over it so that the kids wouldn't be able to tell what
Right.
to want to break in and steal our stuff.
Right.
Multiple times we came in and the tools were in another corner. The sheet was folded up and placed right in the middle of the floor. I talked
folded.
to the owner. It was folded. I
Wow.
called the owner and he said, Al, I have not been out there. Check all the windows, the doors and everything. There was no entry anywhere. So they were having fun with us.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah,
Folded the sheet. Well,
folded,
they moved the
literally
tools.
folded the sheet into about a foot by foot and just had it setting right in the middle of the floor.
Wow. I guess being a restaurant, they wanted to keep it neat.
Well, you know, after he got that building open, he had a banquet hall up on that second floor where I was working.
Yeah.
And they actually did an article in the Toledo Blade at that time because he had a couple girls clean all the tables off, just set white tablecloths on, push all the chairs under the table, have it ready for him to come in and get it set for a banquet the next day.
Right.
And when he came in and went upstairs, there were 2 chairs pulled out, a bottle of Jack Daniels on the table, and 2 shot glasses. And they
Oh,
said,
my goodness.
not like that when we left.
Oh, my goodness. Well, they were getting ready to party, weren't they?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
All right, Al, I know you've got an investigation to get to in a few hours. Tell us real quick about that before we close out our interview.
Well, we have an investigation. It's in the big Toledo metro area. And this family's having a lot of issues. The daughters are kind of being tormented by some ghosts in the house. We think that there's even been some partial possession going on because the one daughter has literally taken a pillow and put it over the other one's head to try to suffocate her. And she remembers absolutely nothing about it.
Wow.
The mother is hearing women talking up in her kids' rooms. And in talking with our psychic medium of the team, he's picking up 3 guys in the house that he believes were all related and they live there. He sees a young girl. So we're going to try to get to the bottom of it tonight and find out who is there, why are they still there?
Right.
Can I get them to move on and leave these folks alone, or what are we going to have to do to make this a good living condition for the family?
There you go. Well, Al, that's one thing I do appreciate about what you do there with PSEI is that you're actually out there trying to help folks. Yeah. You're not there for the thrills, chills, and excitement. No. I mean, you get those, I'm sure.
We get enough of them as it is.
The
thing is we want the family to be happy and comfortable in their home again.
Exactly. And you don't run and scream like a little girl when something manifests. So
No. And in 8 years, I've had one team member that kind of shuffled really fast.
Yeah.
But I can
Okay.
understand why she did it at the time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but it's just, you may have heard me say this before, but it just frustrates me on these ghost hunting shows when they're asking for something to manifest, it does, and then they scream like a little girl and run off. So, but I know you don't do that.
You know, my team, bless their souls, you know, when we hear something in another room, when we have a device go off or whatnot, we're all running towards it with
Exactly.
cameras rolling and recorders rolling, and we want to get as much as we can.
Excellent. Well, Al, I appreciate your friendship all these years, and I wish you the best on the investigation tonight and your move to San Diego. All the best, brother.
Oh, thank you, Tom.
Well,
hey, I'll be glad to stop by the show while I'm out west. You know, I'll probably have crazy things going on out there and can talk to you about those.
We will definitely have you on. I want to do one show. I've already got this on the list for this season, but I hadn't talked to you about it. I want to do one whole show on PSEI.
Okay.
Okay. So we'll set that up for the future, the next few months, and we will definitely have you on then and even more. All right, brother. Right. I'm going to turn the recorder off.
I appreciate your friendship also.
All right, man. All right. Thanks so much again.
All right. Good luck with today's show.
Thank you. All right. Yeah. The tools being moved and the sheet being folded. That was just
That's crazy. I like the after party.
Yeah. And then, the bottle of Jack Daniels, where that came from, who knows? That was amazing. Well, I know we've gone well over an hour again, but Darin, I want a couple more stories before we close out with the serpent mound, because I know you've come across some the same kind of stuff there in Ohio.
Well, I thought I would share with you. You would ask Al, like, what was it that kind of got him started and stuff. And I thought I'd just share mine. And, you know, it was my senior year in high school. That was 1983, 1984. I graduated in 84. But, you know, I started to get into, like, meditation and things like that. And I met some people that had a meeting, like, once a month. And they would, one of them was psychic, and they would talk about past lives, how to meditate, things like that. And then I started branching out on my own with the Ouija board. And I always had it with me. It was either at the house or it was in the car with me. And when I first started using it, the people that I thought I was talking to was a relative or like a fun, good spirit. And really at the beginning, for the first few months, anything I wanted, it was really going my way. I was a high school kid, but I always had money coming my way somehow. I got to start dating this girl that was way out of my league, you know. And it was never very popular, but I started to get a little bit more popular, you know. So all going well. And then one day, everything just changed. And the first thing I remember happening was I got up for school to get ready for school, and I got a sweet tooth like nobody's business. So my mom made brownies, so I was cutting one of those. I was going to eat it while I go down to the shower, and something picked me up, threw me down on the kitchen floor.
Wow.
I couldn't get back up, and I was hollering for my mother. When she finally arrived, I was able to get back up. And then it was just a few weeks later, I'm driving along an old country road. And of course, the Ouija board's in the car. And I thought I ran over somebody. And it was a short, heavy set man wearing a hat like Abraham Lincoln. And I was so shook up. I got out of the car. I'm looking all around. You know, I'm not seeing anything. I'm not thinking and registering why I'm not seeing anything. As soon as I stopped looking at the ground, looking for somebody, I just see this figure, you know, keep, you know, walking in the cornfield, you know, that heavy set man with the top hat. And then a few weeks later, again, I was with some buddies. We were at a friend's house parked along the street. Ouija board was in the hatchback of this little, it was called a Plymouth Champ. It's kind of car I had. And so we were just hanging out at a friend's house, watching videos and stuff, going to leave, getting ready to get in this car. and a video comes on by Men at Work called "It's a Mistake." And I said, "Oh, we got to watch this video." So we turn around, we're ready to go back in. A car comes around the corner, hits my car hits a car, that car hits a car.
Wow.
On down. I mean, if that video hadn't have come on, we would have just gotten that car, and then that guy would have hit us. We would have all been dead. You know?
Yeah. Wow.
So
that is
I got
surreal.
rid of the Ouija board, that next day. But I got to tell you, it was hard for me to do because way things started out good. And it's kind of like being an ex-smoker. I still think about it. Maybe should I try it again? And I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it, but it's still there with me. And so I think those things just suck you in, get you going with it, and then that's what happens. So.
Wow. Well, that's good. I'm not necessarily say advice, but something to remember when dealing with supernatural or paranormal. You do have to tread lightly and be careful.
Absolutely. That's one thing we ask on all the investigations I go on is anybody been using a Ouija board,
Yeah.
So.
Kind of get that out of the way. So,
Yes.
So if you start dealing with something, you'll say, okay, that's probably that right there.
Yes.
All right. Well, Darin, thank you so much for being here.
Oh, thanks for asking me to come
on. Greg liked your story.
All right.
Hi,
Greg.
I did. Yes. Before I forget about it again, Darin has a book on ghost hunting. I've gotten it. All right, I'm gonna put Andrea on the spot. Have you gotten Darin's book yet?
I haven't. Darin, I'm sorry.
Andrea.
I'm the worst friend ever. I know. I was like, don't ask.
No, don't.
That's why I said
right.
I'm gonna put you on the spot.
I'll get it. I'm so bad for that.
Darin, tell us the name of the book and where to get it.
It's called A Guide to Ghost Hunting. At the moment, it's just an ebook. You can get it on the Kindle, Amazon, iBooks. It's all over the place. A Guide to Ghost Hunting.
I've got it, and it's Darin tells a little bit about his story, and his experiences. Then he goes through a step-by-step, almost like a manual. He gives you some forms, which are cool. That was one thing in the years ago in a ghost hunting group I was at. We didn't have any forms, and I'm kind of an organizer, so I made up some forms for us to use, but yours are very comprehensive. And then he goes into like paranormal tales around the world and around the country. It's a good book.
Yeah, the places around the world, around the United States, what equipment to use, that sort of thing.
Yeah, that's right. You go into the equipment. We went into that on here because Darin also has the ghosthuntingsource.com where you can buy all your equipment. All right. I want to close out with Serpent Mound, and I'm going to try to remember to go back into the comments and put these links for Darin's book and Ghost Hunting Source so that you'll have those if you're watching this later. But Andrea, before we close out, real quick, tell us about your visit to the Serpent Mound, because I thought that was so cool, and I want to get to Serpent Mound before we close out today.
It was a really cool experience. I've always wanted to go. It's out in Peebles, Ohio, so it's about an hour and a half drive from where I live. We took the kids. We take the kids everywhere, and so we don't let them slow us down. It was really beautiful. It is a huge earthwork. It was originally built by the Fort Ancient people around 1000 AD, they think. There is some Medina mounds that are 2 of them that are located. Those are burial mounds on the outside of it. And I think it's great, especially with the research that I've been doing on the Crosswick Monster. If you look at the snake, the serpent that's on the, if you look at it from the top, it looks like the mouth is swallowing an egg. But if you look at the original layout of how this was made, it's now kind of sunk in, so it's not a part of the hiking trail. There are 2 horns that come out from the top of the egg.
Oh, wow.
If you listen to the stories, if you read the stories about the Hopewell, the four ancient Hopewell and Adena Indians about their snakes, their mythical serpents that they had. All of them have like a crystal on their forehead, and it gave them power. And I think that is actually the crystal on the serpent's head. Right. And then that's the horns that are coming out. Sammy, being who Sammy is, while we were there, he was young. He was about 3 years old. So we walked all around. There's some beautiful hiking trails. If you're in Ohio and you go to Peebles, go. It's gorgeous. Be careful. It's not for like just average. There's some cliffs and some ravines, so just be careful if you're there.
Right.
So we walked around the Serpent's Mound, went up to the high rise, looked down at it, walked around again because you can walk it pretty fast. Went on a hike and decided to walk it one more time. We get to the tail, and the tail kind of curls into a spiral. And Sam stops and he looks over and he goes, "Oh, look!" And he picks up a amethyst crystal that was just laying there. And I was like, "Oh my gosh, Sammy, where did you find that?" And he goes, "It was right here." And he goes, "It was a gift."
A gift?
A gift. And I was like, put it back.
Hey, we got to drag your kid along on some ghost hunts and stuff.
I'm telling you. So
it sounds like it.
We had to put it back.
He's a sensitive. You had him put it back.
He's very... Okay. He's older now, so it's not so much like that. When he was little, he really was. He was just my kid that marched to his own beat when it came to that. So, but he did find that. And the serpent's mound was actually, I thought that was kind of cool that he found that there, because when they did do excavations on it, they found that it was actually just a ritualistic mound. Yeah. And the coolest thing about it is on summer solstice, the egg point points directly at the peak of the sun during midday. I mean, when the sun lines up on summer solstice day. Yeah, so what is that? I think that's June 21st, June 22nd. People from all over actually come over Serpent's Mound for that, to watch the sun rise and peak at the Serpent's Mound's head. So I think that's pretty cool about that. But it was a neat experience. There's a free museum there. Awesome museum I love museums. I'm dorky. But that was pretty cool. The other mound that if you ever in the area, is Marietta Mound Cemetery. Yeah. There's a cemetery that is built around a Adena mound, and it's definitely has a vibe to it. The cemetery's cool. Ooh. It has the most Revolutionary War soldiers buried in it. So.
Oh wow. Well, guys, you can tell if you've been watching, there is some strange stuff going on in Ohio, and has been. So as much as I would love to go into a bunch more stuff, we're going to call it a day here and shut it down. And we'll talk to you in just a second. Is there anyone here with us? Did you hear that? Can you tell us your name? All right, guys, that's it for Strange States, Ohio. We will be back with the other states in the next couple of weeks and months. Thank you for being here, Darin. Thank you so much. You're awesome.
Thanks for having me.
Every time you're on here. We want to shout out to Al Luna. Hope he has a great investigation. He's going there now. And great stories he had. Andrea, thank you. It's always fun to have you on here. And Greg said something earlier. What did he say? Yeah, when you have Tim and Andrea on, I know it's a good show. I'm enjoying it. So we certainly appreciate that, Greg. Thank you for being here. Thank you to all the watchers. We'll see you. Next week is our revisited show with part 2 of The Stick Man, Beware the Stick Man. And then in 2 weeks, we'll be back. We're talking about NDEs, near-death experiences, and stories from that. Thank you again, guys. Be safe on your strange journeys. See you next time.
We'll see you.
Bye-bye.